Welcome to Play It Now, where hopefully I'll convince you to rush out, buy and spend hours with Invisible Incorporated by Klei Entertainment. As usual, I don't want to ruin any plot, I'll cover that in the article, but what we can do is I think run through some of the game mechanics just by hitting the play game. We'll start a new game afresh and we'll skip the tutorial because I'll be explaining things as we go. We're going to play on beginner because, my god, this game's quite tough, and if you don't get those rewinds, again I can go into a bit of detail on that perhaps during this video. It's a tough game, and it's like XCOM, very, very harsh in that if you know, once the wheels come off the bus, you might find it difficult to get back in, get back on track. So I'm just going to start the game, completely standard game, and I will skip the cinematic as well. Great cinematic, just explaining why there's a timer on this main story screen, and you know why you're up against it and the pressure thereof. Now we only start with two beginning agents. All of these guys you have to effectively find in detention centres. So Decker, his main ability is that he has the ability to uncover networking demons by standing next to them. And he also has this incredibly powerful modded cloaking rig, probably one of the most powerful characters in the game, Decker, for that reason alone, but maybe not quite as powerful as International, whose main capability is phenomenally powerful, a wireless emitter, and I'll explain that as we go. And as for the programs, you start with the two basic. I would recommend you do start with the two basic. You do get the opportunity to use parasites and rapiers and so on. But it's actually really powerful, but raising the alarm level is something you really just won't want to do in later levels. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely stick with the options that they give you to begin with.
Operator, are you there? Good. I was afraid you didn't make it out. Headquarters is gone. Most of our agents have been captured or killed, and our accounts all frozen. I don't know how the corporations found us, but you can bet they won't give up now that they've had a taste of blood. The Jet's stealth rig should keep us hidden if we keep moving, but Incognita can't survive long on backup power. She's got 72 hours, tops. We need to mount a counterattack before then, or we'll be defenseless against their scans. If that happens, we may as well just crash this thing into the ocean. You've never seen the inside of a corporate deprogramming chamber. I won't see the inside of another.
We'll stop her there. We've got all we need for the first mission. We've got our two characters selected, and we're only given one option, which is the FTM executive terminals. That little backstory there, I just wanted to show it in the gameplay because it's just fantastic voice acting in this game. I know I've just been raving, or rather ranting recently about the poor quality of voice acting in other games, so it's just fantastic to hear such high quality voice acting in Invisible. So we have 72 hours remaining. Travelling to the FTM terminals takes about 12 hours. I got quite hung up on that originally when I started playing this game originally, because you get multiple options later on, and I always went for the lowest. Don't bother with that. Just stick with whatever you think is going to be the best option for you.
Executives are notoriously slack when it comes to network security, and their terminals are full of interesting information. We found a lightly guarded executive complex here.
So we're going to fly to the executive terminals and we're going to try and infiltrate it. And the idea is this is a stealth game. There is the option of violence, but you don't want to get too hung up on violence in this game. You want to try and get in and out without being seen.
They caught us completely by surprise, so we have no firepower with us. The guards' weapons are gene-coded to their owner and useless to us. We're going to have to make do with what we can find along the way. We've beamed you through the security grid.
I'll just skip that again. And we've got a primary objective to find the executive terminal and then get out alive. Pretty straightforward. So we start with Decker down here at the bottom left. We can see his capability is ready. And we have International. Now immediately, as soon as I changed to International, her wireless emitter will kick in, and we can see that there's a console here. The game has the ability to, I find this a little bit confusing. We can scroll around and get a better view of that console, but the issue I have with this game at the moment is that, well, the only issue I have with this game, since I do love it so much, is that things get hidden behind doors, and it obstructs your view, and you don't want to be constantly flipping around this view all the time. To combat that, the developers have put in the alt mode, which effectively removes all the cruft and gives you a much clearer, more tactical view of what you're about to do. So wireless emitters lets us grab power. Our power is up at the top here, top 10 out of 20 power in total for incognito. We don't have incognita. We don't have any capabilities yet, but there's no reason why we can't just grab that for 2 power. And then we'll run international over to this door and we'll peek through it. So we can see that is a location that is noticed by the enemy, hence it's red. But it looks like we've got another console. Doesn't cost me any actions to hijack that, so we'll grab that as well. And then we'll sneak into this corner. Oops, so it's not a corner at all. And in fact, she's in a bit of stook now, because if that guard walks towards us, where is he? There he is down there. We're in big trouble. So what I'll maybe just do is take her over to this side here. And we'll bring Decker up to the doorway just to the side here. And let's just see if we can predict this card's movements. No, we can't. So we don't want to bring Decker in. He'll be just as compromised as she. Oh no, we can move him to here, or here even better. Yeah, we'll move him to there. And he's hidden behind that wall. And then we'll end our turn. And you'll see the guard walking up. In fact, the guard's stationary and didn't move at all. Security level goes up by 1. You can see that up at the top right. And as the security hits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and beyond, things get ever hairier for our operatives. So this guy is a bit of an issue, because, you know what, I think we'll just ignore him. I think we can go around him, but it's actually going to be quite difficult to do so. What we can maybe just do is see whether or not Incognita can spot the camera. She cannot. We can click on this guy for 1 action point, and we can see that he never moves. He's completely stationary. However, oh, is this? That's noticed by the enemy. That's noticed. That one's hidden. Odd that one's noticed and this one's hidden, but there you go. Oh, it must be, yeah, it's that terminal that's getting in the way. So, not much to do there. We'll move international back, and we can't really go that way. If we had other agents, we'd have other capabilities there. We'll pop Decker through here. This looks clear. So, open the door. And end our turn. There's another yellow door over here, so we'll move Decker straight over there. And we'll have an eyeball in there as well. Another door, but we can only move 1 space, another 2, so now we can actually run international all the way back round. And we can grab that wireless scanner. We've got 20 power now, we probably didn't even need to grab that. We've got so much power, and so far I haven't had the opportunity to show you International's main capability, which is using Incognito. Finally we get something that we can press the spacebar for, and we can see an overlay of how the world view looks through Incognita's eyes, through the cybernetic world. So she has this capability called Lockpick 1.0, and we can use that to click on it. It's going to cost 2 power, but it breaks 1 firewall. So click on that, the safe becomes unlocked. Click on that, the safe becomes unlocked. So all we're going to do now is just move Incognita. We're going to move Decker back out, and we'll let Incognita deal with that safe. And the reason, International. And the reason for that is that she's going to pick up that wireless scanner as she goes past for another 4 power on the way back out. We don't need it just yet, but we'll get it soon. That's them both out of action points, and we'll end the turn. We still haven't found any enemies, which is a surprise. And you know what, I think I'm just going to run him right up to that door. This is risky, because if there'd been anyone on the other side of that door, he would have heard me running and come to investigate. We'll move International up. We've unlocked that safe, so we now have the option of looting it. And it's got a buster chip in it. Oh, they're fantastic. They require anarchy, but that's great. Okay, next turn. So they've cracked Incognita's first layer of encryption, and later levels will be much worse. So there wasn't actually anything particular. I'm going to ignore that. I might use that as an emergency later on. Oops, I'll close the door by accident. I'm just going to make her run, and we'll catch up with Decker. And then Decker will use that overlay mode. There's the next door. And another console. Now this is risky, so this is hidden from the enemy, so we can safely open the door. But sadly it's being viewed by something we can't see, so I'm going to step him to one side and end the turn so that we can get Incognita in there. Okay, so there's, we'll run her up to the door again. Hopefully her wireless emitter, wireless scanner will tell us what's seeing that. Yes, there we go. So this whole area is being viewed by that sneaky little camera there. So if we hack that camera, now you can see that we've got far more options. Problem is though, we've landed International right in front of the door, and in this game, characters can't pass characters. So when we take control of Decker now, we can see that we can move all the way back, but we can't actually move into the room. It's a bit of a waste of a few action points. So we still haven't found the terminal, sadly. Going to move International as far up as we can. Whoa! And this is where I've made a horrible mistake. This guy's definitely going to spy International, and we'll have a fight in our hands at last. We'll bring Decker into play as well. And in fact, if this guy's stupid enough to run towards International, I doubt it. But if he does, then we can put Decker into ambush mode. Oh, he turned around so suddenly he didn't even see International. That's fantastic news, because it means that we can move her right up to here and we can take him out. Done. Having taken him out, we can steal his valuables, 80 credits, and excellently a level 1 security card, which means that we can get through red doors now. And we'll move Decker up to the only door available, and we'll eyeball it. We've got a guard right behind it. Decker's out of action points, so we'll just end our turn there. So we've KO'd that guard up at the top. You can see he wakes up in 3 turns, but he's currently pinned. As long as you have a character on top of a down character, they can't recover any KO, so he'll stay like that indefinitely until we move International. However, for the moment...
There's the executive terminal. I bet they're writing gripping TPS reports on that.
So we're going to KO this guard. And then we're going to steal his stuff. He'll also take the same card. Sadly though, we can't stay pinned forever. We're going to have to break that firewall. While we've got some spare power, we'll also unlock that nano fabricator where we can buy items. If we had enough money, where's our money? 660 credits, we might be able to get something in the way out, that would be nice. So, we're going to have to run up to... yeah, we'll run up to the terminal. We will hack it. Well, I've already hacked it, we're opening it now. And we've got a sight list. Now, the only problem is that that will take his action points down by 1 because he only has 1 strength, which means he can only carry 3 items. And I'm not giving up any of that. So we'll take the encumbrance hit.
Got the sight list. They noticed you poking about and have changed up their patrols. Be careful on your way out.
So what we'll do here is we'll move Decker to the next door, and we'll only have to basically hope and pray that the escape teleporter's behind here, because if the escape teleporter is away back here in this area, I have no idea how I'd get past that guard, because they shoot to kill in this game, and that's not cool. So we'll take International. We could drag this guy around, but when you do drag somebody, you can only move him 1 or 2 until you get more strength. So what we'll do is we'll move International to this guard. He'll start clocking down. We'll close this door for the moment, and then we'll move into and we'll leave International there, pinning that guard for the moment. So more cameras have come in. If you haven't stored enough power by this point in the game and cameras come online, I don't see where they're coming online, so quite often you'll see them. Yep, so there we go. So we've got a couple of cameras rebooting here, so we can just instantly take them over again, like so, which gives us visibility in those areas. But if we didn't have enough power to do that, that can be crippling, because as soon as the cameras see you, guards are rushing to your location. Move Decker down to this door, we'll peer through. What do we expect on this side? There's another camera, which we'll hack immediately. And great news, there's a teleporter. So this game is effectively wrapped up. We'll move him in there. We'll grab her, go into a run to the door, end the turn, and that is one level of Invisible Ink as we beam out.
That contact list will prove invaluable when planning our next move. Excellent work.
So the contact list effectively gives us more options on the main screen. Now we can now fly to other locations, which is crucial for keeping Incognita alive. We've got 660 credits and we got both agents out alive. If any of those had been downed and we couldn't revive them with a med pack, then they go into detention centres, which you can then uncover in the game. Having said that, if you're on 2 agents and one of them is downed, you're probably starting the game again because it's too difficult with a single character. So this is the kit out screen, I guess. We can put stuff into storage, bring it back into inventory, choose between the 4 characters that you end up controlling. You can also have a look at Incognita. She only has 2 powers at the moment, a power drip at the start of each turn and lockpick 1. No option to change them now. But we've got 600 credits, so we can finally take that buster chip, give it to Decker, and then buy Anarchy 2. He now has the capability of busting through 2 firewalls by standing next to something. That's incredibly powerful later on. When you think about 2 firewalls, that's going to cost lockpick 4 power. So, and later versions of Buster Chip 3 I think is the best that you can get that doesn't consume power itself. It can be a big game changer because it can blast through 5 or 6 firewalls in one hit. And some of the later enemies are also effectively have force fields that you have to hack before you can then deal KO damage.
I've re-established contact with Monster. His network picked up the attack just before it hit us, and we're working to trace it back to the source.
Greetings. I don't often perform transactions face-to-face, but Gladstone is an old friend.
Thank you, Monster. If we find their central server, we may be able to bring them down, or at least distract them long enough that they lose our trail.
So, we have a few more options now, and as I said, we could spend 12 hours getting here, or we could spend 6 hours getting here. And the way that I used to play this game was to kind of think, well, if hours remaining is 60 up at the top, I really ought to go for the nearby ones first and try and prioritise routes. To a certain extent that is true, but 9 times out of 10 it's not meaningless. This is going to force your hand eventually, so you can't just constantly jump backwards and forwards on long trips. But if you did want to take this and then jump across to here and down here, it's not the most economic route, but you'll tend to find that it still plays out pretty well. And you don't have to worry too much. And what's quite infuriating is that you can have something right next to you and it's still going to cost you 5 hours to get there. So in the grand scheme of things, don't be put off by those figures. So that is in a nutshell how the game plays out. I would love to show you more advanced gameplay, but I think that would probably ruin it for you. One thing I would like to show you though just before we go is a quick look at some of the other characters that you can unlock, and it's just the sheer scale of the character selection. So if we go back into play game and we have a look at say this particular game that I'm playing, that's
we're running out of time again,
basically losing the plot. If we have a look at the agents, we can see here that I still played with Decker International, but I also unlocked Nika. Her special ability is that when she attacks, she gains 3 action points after every attack. Makes her incredibly powerful, and you can see that I've upgraded her in a number of ways. And then I also unlocked Olivia through another detention cell mission, and her speciality is that she's got an ambient turbine, which means every time she KOs a guard, she gets that KO damage back in power, which Incognita can then use to hack on the cybernetic plane. So effectively a kind of strange cross of XCOM with stealth XCOM. but it's more tactical, I think, than XCOM as well, or maybe tactical is the wrong word, perhaps just a little bit more cerebral. There's certainly absolutely no luck in this game. There's no health bars. You deal 3 KO damage to a guard, he's down for 3 turns. So there's no randomness to the game whatsoever, and all of the guards, well, they're not quite predictable because there is a certain amount of randomness to their patrol routes. But again, if you want to spend that action point to predict those patrol routes, it makes the game more of a puzzle and less of a kind of like an action, which XCOM, love it or hate it, that RNG really just kind of divided people. I think in the original XCOM games, the RNG was manageable, but in the second XCOM, I know that people loved XCOM 2. I found it very, very off-putting that you could be standing next to somebody with a 98% chance to hit and miss completely. That kind of 1%, 2% RNG resulting in a complete on-off situation really put me off the game. And Invisible is effectively the polar opposite of that, where there's literally just no RNG in the game whatsoever, which is what I meant by tactical. It's a very tactical game, very cerebral. I hope you enjoy watching this, and I hope I've convinced you to play it now.